Mr. President, thank you very much. And let me thank my friend from Connecticut for his leadership on this issue. Let me just tell my colleague, I think this is a major human rights issue. I have the honor of representing this body as the chairman of the Helsinki Commission. The Helsinki Commission deals internationally with issues of human rights. And it's interesting that the United States has taken the leadership on protecting the rights of individuals to vote and to be able to determine their own government. So we have invested a lot of resources in the Helsinki process to monitor elections around Europe and Central Asia and to fight for minority communities to have the right to vote and to have open and honest voting. And let me tell you, just last year, there was a resolution filed in our Parliamentary Assembly of the OSCE to encourage America to give the people of the District of Columbia the right to vote. The international community understands that we are out of compliance with basic international norms on giving our citizens the right to participate in their parliament. So I look at this bill first as a basic right that every American should be able to have their voices heard here in the Congress of the United States. And I support this bill because it moves us in the right direction. But, Mr. President, I must tell you, I believe the people of the district should have 2 members of this body, 2 United States senators, and a voting member of Congress. And I know that we tried to do that in the 1970s with a constitutional amendment. I was proud at that time to be a state legislator in Maryland, and as Speaker of the Maryland House, we passed and ratified that constitutional amendment because we thought it was the right thing for the district to have full representation in this body and to have a voting representative in the House of Representatives. So this legislation, as I said, moves in the right direction. It gives the people of the district a voting representative in the House of Representatives. That we should do. And then it even goes further, recognizing the political sensitivity to having another congressman who may represent one political party. And since the district registration is heavily Democratic, the compromise is to give another representative to the state of Utah because they're the closest to having been able to obtain another representative. And the voting, the registration in Utah is heavily Republican, so it balances it from a political point of view. And I understand that's how this system works here, and I think this is a fair compromise. What I don't understand is why we're getting all these other amendments on this bill as an effort to try to kill the underlying bill. Let's have an up or down vote on it. The people of the district have been waiting a long time. And I think it's the right thing for us to do to say, let's give them a vote on this. Let's get rid of these amendments. Because these amendments aren't aimed at trying to solve a problem. They're aimed at trying to defeat a bill. Which brings me to the amendment offered by Senator Kyl that is currently pending. Now, Mr. President, I find this amendment somewhat surprising. And let me tell you why. It would succeed the district back to the state of Maryland. It would change the border of my state that I represent in this body. Now, I would have thought, maybe I'm naive about this, that if a senator was introducing an amendment that would change the border of a particular state, that he would talk to the senators from that state, that he would talk to the governor from that state, that he would try to work with the representatives from that state. Because if this amendment were adopted, it would affect every single person in Maryland. Our formulas for aid to our counties in Baltimore City is based upon population. If all of a sudden Maryland grows by a couple 100,000 people, it affects the way that our counties operate essential services. And yet there was no effort made by the author of this amendment to consult with the political leadership of my state. I just don't know how another senator would feel if I introduced an amendment. I'm glad to see Senator Kyle's return to the floor. I don't know how Senator Kyle would feel if I introduced an amendment that said perhaps Arizona's border should change a little bit because it makes more sense to do it that way. And there's no need to talk to the senators from Arizona about it or the government of Arizona. We're just going to do it. I just don't think that's the right thing to do. So I'm somewhat puzzled. And I must tell you, to me, it's a matter of an unfunded mandate on my state. It's a matter of what federalism is about. It's a matter of states' rights. And it's a matter of common decency. Now, I read the bill coming over, the amendment coming over, and I'm not sure how these lines were drawn. But I would have thought that if Maryland was to get the district, we would at least get the Kennedy Center. But it looks like they took the Kennedy Center out for reasons I can't explain. I don't know how these lines were drawn. So perhaps my friend will help me understand this better and understand whether the courtesies of the Senate mean that you can put legislation in affecting the borders of one state or another without even having the courtesy to talk to the members of that state. I can tell you that Maryland very much works very closely with the mayor of Washington and the people of the district. We have a wonderful regional government organization. We work cooperatively on providing services to the people of this region. We have an excellent relationship. And we support giving the people of the district representation in Congress because it's the right thing to do. And we want them to have their own representatives here. And we think it is a wrong suggestion to now say, oh, we can solve this problem by changing the borders of the state of Maryland. And for that, Mr. President, I would urge my colleagues to reject the Kyle amendment and let us get on with passing this very important bill for Americans who have been denied a voice in the Congress of the United States. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor.